Good morning, everyone. Roughly 15 years ago, I was attending my son's soccer game in Provo, and it's just about this same time of year. Many other families and parents were standing along the sideline. Many of you can probably relate to that, watching the soccer game unfold. And while I was standing on the sideline, and I preferred to stand so that I could be more mobile during the game, I looked over and noticed one of the other parents and noticed that he had this Manchester United shirt on. And, you know, looking down at my chest, I could see I had a similar Manchester United shirt on. And so from that day forward, I kind of had my Manchester United soulmate. We became fast friends and spent many mornings together. Because of the time difference, Manchester United plays in the English Premier League. It's about 7 or 8 hours difference depending on the time of the year. And so most of the games happen early in the morning, you know, as early as 5:30 in the morning. So you have to be a little bit of a devoted fan to get up that early, like on a Saturday morning, to go watch the game together. But Kim and I were devoted to it, and we watched many games together. And it kind of became it was kind of already a passion of ours, but we shared that together. As part of that, many times in watching these football or soccer games, we can apply, it's, you know, we have an international group here, so football is the appropriate term for it. They would talk about quality service, and many of you probably understand kind of how that service in soccer, what that is. It's kind of like, I guess, most closely would be associated with like an assist in basketball. Someone passes the ball forward to a forward or a striker who is then able to score or shoot the ball. Sometimes the service is poor, and sometimes the service is quality or it's good. In English football, they usually refer to it as quality service. And so that's a little bit what I want to talk to you today about is quality service. In that, you know, through our service, we often allow others to succeed, progress, and, if you will, score. We often will think of service as, oh, it's just that I need to do this, that there is the potential that the service that we render can make an impact going forward, not just even at that present moment, but in the lives of those that we serve. It can have a cause and effect that they will be able to be better, do better, and excel and succeed better because of the service that we have rendered. One of the things that just indulge me one little bit more of talking about Manchester United. Roughly, well, it's exactly almost 20 years ago, Manchester United won the European Championship, the English Premier League Championship, and the FA Cup, all in the same year. And as part of they called that the treble. So it was the three big tournaments or three big trophies that you could win in one year. That was 20 years ago. The final minutes of the Champions League or the European League Championship were decided, not the score up until the end of the game in that 90 minutes was 1-0. Manchester United was behind. and the game was going into the final minutes of added time that are added on at the end of soccer games, football games. And so it was 1-0. Manchester United was losing. And then within that final 3 minutes, there were 2 or 3 plays, and I'll just kind of, so there was a goal scored, so it then became 1-1. And everybody thought, oh, the game will end and it'll go into extra time. It's going to be end. But so less than 30 seconds after that subsequent kickoff, United forced yet another corner. So David Beckham swung the ball in again, finding the head of Sheringham, who nodded the ball down across the face of the goal, where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reacted fast, shot out a foot, and poked the ball into the roof of the net for United to take the lead. So in the 93rd minute, they were able to score the go-ahead goal, which would then propel them on to win the championship. And it was the combination of the service that United received. So the first was the ball coming across from David Beckham. The next was Teddy Sheringham heading the ball back across the goal, and then allowing Solskjaer to finish and win the game for United. So I won't talk about Manchester United anymore, but it's pretty. It was, of course, this. 90 minutes and more had gone by, and then within 2 minutes, Manchester United had taken the lead and won. And it's kind of like that if we are put ourselves in the position, and I think that I know that I do feel like that we are all in a position of service in our department, that we help other people succeed, that if it's the language offices, if it's the other departments that we work with, that we help give them the materials to create translations for manuals that will change people's lives, that will give them the opportunities to succeed. So just the little things that we do every day add up to this cumulative effect. There are many. So King Benjamin taught, when you are in the service of your fellow beings, you are only in the service of your God. And I really do feel and bear testimony that we are in the service of others and at the same time serving our Heavenly Father. I just wanted to quickly note 5 things about service that might give us a little bit of perspective and direction as we move forward. The first one is, when it comes to service, is your family comes first, that you need to focus on. If we need to narrow our focus, it needs to come with looking at our family first. That we need to make our service fit individual needs. We need to be thinking about what would someone else like, what would I like, want, or need. Things can be kept simple as well. Just keep an eye out, and our Father in heaven will inspire us to those little things we can do and say that will make a difference in someone else's life. It's as simple as a smile, a cheerful attitude, a listening ear, a sincere praise, or a quiet act that no one even knows about as of kindness. That those are important forms of service. And just remember to share, because we are all so richly blessed with the gospel in our lives, that we have the opportunity to share generously with others of our good fortune and the gospel message. I have a testimony of the gospel, and I thank my Heavenly Father every day that I have this opportunity to serve and work with you, to be able to help other people, that it's a it's a gift to me. It's a little thing that our Heavenly Father has blessed me with this chance and opportunity, and I truly and wholeheartedly praise Him and accept His hand in me being able to be here and work with you all. I have a testimony of the Savior, that He is my Savior, my personal Savior, and the atonement of Jesus Christ has done so much for us that we have the potential to be able to yet once again return to live with our Heavenly Father. I have a testimony of the leadership of this church, of the prophet, President Nelson, his counselors, and the apostles, and those who lead and guide us in our work here. I have a testimony as well with our local leaders and those that we support in our callings, in our wards, and stakes. And I appreciate this opportunity to share my testimony and this brief message about service with you, and I do it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Dave, for that message and testimony. It's always great to be able to get together every quarter and to take a brief look back at the successes and highlights that we've had so far in the year, and then to also make sure that we're aligned moving forward. So we're going to start off with a message from Marshall, doing just that, taking a moment to pause and look back at everything that we've accomplished so far this year. We'll also have the opportunity to hear from Kaz. If you haven't met him yet, Kaz is who's recently joined us as our new systems manager, will give us a look at systems and where we're at. And then Dwayne, who stepped out of the position as systems manager and accepted an exciting new position over machine learning, will give us a look at machine translation and where we're at, and again, where we're headed in that. Marshall will then give us the opportunity to look forward to what's coming up for the remainder of this year and some of the major efforts and initiatives that we're undertaking. And then Adam Youngfield will close us out with a prayer. Thank you.
All right. I apologize for having to listen to me so much today, but it just makes it easier than with how much stuff we have to get through than rotating a bunch of people up. But I want to start by talking about some of our recent successes, because we've had a lot of cool things that have happened and a lot of hard work. So most recent success, General Conference. So we were able to shift with General Conference. There's been 5 of the African languages that were able to actually do that in country this time. So Daniel actually traveled to Africa West and was able to give them some training, and they were able to successfully do that. So, and we found General Conference in general with the languages, so we found our quality was improving. We measure that by how many retakes we need to do with all the different recordings, and those were down. We're hoping that's because of quality and not because we're rude and not letting people retake. But we think it's because of quality. So we measure that as a success. But General Conference was a wonderful opportunity for the church, but it ends up touching everyone either as a member or with our work, because it affects all of us. So very grateful for all the effort we had there. So I'm going to have to walk away because I can't read that far back. But I can read this. So our on-time delivery metrics. Can everyone hear me if I stand over here? Okay. So this is the metrics for final quality checks. So when the schedule in Plunet says it'll be done. So we have 22 languages currently that have 100% on that. And then we have an additional 17 languages that are at 90%, which is fantastic. And we measure it at this point in the process because we have control up to this point. After this, production gets involved, and we're working well with them and improving things. But very fantastic. So we're very excited about those numbers and the fact that Plunet is helping us to track that and show that improvement. So at this point through the year, we have over 22,500,000 words. So that is up from where we were at this point last year. Typically, the first quarter, we have less work that comes in, which is still, at this point this year. Fourth quarter, we'll do more words than this. But the fact we're doing more at this point than we did last year is fantastic. I hope that means people are planning better. So I wanted to highlight this. So the 2020 product budget for the church has already been approved. So this is a major shift in the way church planning is being done. So in the past, projects would be brought up and recommended by client departments and then reviewed and all this and then taken to the Quorum of the 12. And things would get approved sometime in August, maybe September, which only gave a few months of planning before the following year. They decided, the Quorum of the 12 and First Presidency didn't think that was enough time to actually plan adequately for capacity and different things. So they have already locked down the budget for next year at this point, which is great news because it's going to help force better planning on our clients. So it's one of those things that happens that no one knows about, but it could end up really helping our work and change things. So this is much higher above anything that we're dealing with, that people are concerned. You know, the Prophet, members of the Quorum of the 12 are concerned about how our work is being done and making changes to help improve that. So we have a technical support team in place. So this is supported by the department's technical support group. So they report to Mark Barnett, and they come in, so I think one comes in at 5 p.m. and is working till like 1 in the morning or so, and the other one comes in right after that. So we have some off hours support, and their main focus right now is to start building knowledge-based articles that can go into the ServiceNow system so that people can get better support in off hours. So if they have an issue, they don't have to wait 10 hours for one of us to get in, or try to get someone from stop binge watching something on Netflix and go over and do that. We deserve some binge watching sometimes, right? Everyone needs a break. But this will allow for more support that way at different hours, and also have people who are just focused on building that support structure. So we're really excited that we got support for that. And then wanted to highlight Workfront Proof. So this is a tool built with Workfront used for the proofing cycle, going back and forth with the offices. We've been testing it with letters and notices and had great success, a lot of positive feedback from our area offices, really cutting down that time in our workflow, so that hopefully at some point we feel we have enough control over our workflow that we can be measuring our on-time delivery all the way through production. So there's a lot of areas in production getting support. So a lot of really exciting things. There are so many more things that have been going on. These are just some of the recent successes that we highlighted. Overall, to me, gets a double thumbs up. I think we are doing so many awesome, amazing things. I wish everyone would have the opportunity to be here with the interpretation, all the interpreters on Sunday morning when Elder Suarez came. He invited himself to come and speak to the Interpreter Sunday. And it was neat. Like Jeff Eisenham and I were kind of like, well, we don't want to go. It's for the interpreters. We could distract, but we ended up sitting there. When it was done, we both looked at each other. That was really cool. I'm glad we came. It was just the spirit there, but it was more so be able to see the gratitude that the members of the 12 have for the work that we do. Getting the message out to the world, being able to hear his comments directly about how important it is that we help the entire world get this message. So I think that gratitude was to everyone here. For those who, a few of us were able to be there for that, and it was neat, and we have those opportunities hopefully again in the future. But so many neat things that have been going on. Want to take a moment to specifically highlight neat things going on with our systems and the efforts that we've been asked to do by the Quorum of the 12 with machine translation. So I'm going to turn time over to Kaz. I'll go forward for you.
Hi, I'm Kaz Suzuki. It has been 2 months since I joined, and then this organization is beyond when I joined, I didn't know that the church's operation is so huge and so complex, many languages. I have been working in the industry for 25 years, but this is very unique, and there's a lot of things to learn. But I hope that I'm catching up. And then I haven't worked with each of you yet, every single person yet, but I have worked with many of you. But at the same time, Marshall told me that this recording will be shared with the International Language Office as well. So for those folks, I haven't worked with you yet, but I hope that I have a chance to work with you sometime soon. Anyway, so for the last 2 months, from system perspectives, as you know that there was an update with the World Server PlueNet, and then it causes some issues. It happened from system perspectives, and then you had some problems. I'm sorry about that. It was not, of course, expected, but it happened. So instead of mentioning about the some bug fixes and small changes, I want to do something kind of major things which will be happened, so that you can get a little excited. So that's my kind of point today. So I listed a few things. The first one is that Marshall already mentioned about the those support. But with the support team, I'd like to have the like kind of system in place. It's something to do with the ServiceNow, so that instead at this moment, so if you have issues, you send out emails to those who you know, like localization engineers or Steve Richardson, Ryan, or Eric, whoever you want the answer or fix, you send out emails. But in that case, there's no way to track what were the issues, what happened before, right? So we need to have some kind of system in place. So we are planning. We just started the effort to have this system in place. But you just need to go to a one portal kind of website, and over there, as the Marshall mentioned, you can search on the knowledge base, so that what's going on before you submit the issues. And then there's a kind of little dashboard saying that, hey, World Server is down now, please hold on. Something like that, right? So you don't really have to ask around what's going on with the system. So, and then finally you can you can submit the bugs or whatever issues you're having. So by having this kind of portal, you should be able to have just one place to go to find the what you can do at the time, and then what you should do at the time. And then you can, for all the issues you submitted on the same site, you can keep track of the what's going on and when will be solved, those kind of things. So that's one thing that we are planning to put in place later this year. Second one is that, so PlueNet and the World Server, there are some integration at this moment, but it's limited. And because of that, there are a lot of things at this moment you can't really, you're hoping, things to be happen, but it cannot be done. Like, for example, I have heard that from some areas, when they put the TR on the PlueNet, because some sensitive issues, it's okay to keep it in the PlueNet, but if, for example, if they are not sensitive, it can go to the World Server so that the translation can be leveraged for future use, for example. So this kind of thing could be done by the integration. And then other things, I just put 3 things here, but it's not just, we have a lot more advantages we can have because of the integrations. So these are just a few examples. And then last one is that, so this is something I have learned, and then also Adam also mentioned about this to me. Usually, project managers or language supervisors need to keep track of their projects. At this moment, they need to go to the PlueNet for their financial matters. They need to go to the World Server for the progress perspectives, and then put a lot of data into Excel file to find out what's going on. So this is not the right way, or it's not a very smart way to handle projects. So I think we should be able to provide one dashboard for your use, so that you can just go there, you can find the right information you need at the time in real time. That's something that we are planning to put in place as well. So as I said, we just started to gather the requirements. So later this year, I can't tell you the right kind of timing yet. But that's something, if you can expect that, that'd be great. And at the same time, I'd like to hear from you more what would like to be done, what kind of features or what kind of things you kind of want to see in the system. So I can catch those kind of things, and then I can work with the development team to provide such things to you all. So I just wanted to say about that. Thank you very much.
Good morning. There's not as many people here as I expected. That's probably a good thing for me.
It's a big room.
It's a big room. So I'm Dwayne Dougal. I'm the manager of machine learning here in PSD. We're in good hands with Kaz. I want you to know that. He picked up on a lot of things very quickly, and we're in very good hands with him. I'm happy to hand that over to him. As manager of machine learning, there's a lot to do with machine learning, a lot of things we could do. And all the conversations that I've had, though, with Presiding Bishopric and everybody else that wants this to happen, they always talk about machine translation. That's one slice of the machine learning pie, but that's okay because I have some experience there. So, and we can bring that to bear very quickly. I want to show, if you could change the slide. Is this the thing there? Okay. It's a different format over there, not as wide. Anyway, what we've been doing recently is making sure that we can upgrade our systems from the current system that we use. Microsoft Translator Hub is what we're currently using. There are a lot of MT machine translation providers out there, Google and so forth. We've evaluated a number of these and found out that all things considered, the Microsoft one comes out the best. We get better leverage off of our domain data by using the Microsoft Translator Hub. However, Microsoft threw us a curve earlier this year. They decided to change everything from their version 2 because of this new thing called neural machine translation. And they decided to add that to their offering. And so they required us to move to a version 3. However, moving from V2 to V3 meant that some things would be retired and we wouldn't be able to use them. And so we kind of had to scramble pretty quickly to take advantage of some of the things, the current capability that we had before and not lose it, and be able to maintain that capability while still moving ahead to be able to take advantage of some of the new capability. So we've been kind of working feverishly to get that done. Think of it like when you're building a house. You got to build the foundation first. You got to dig the hole first, right? Put in the concrete, pour the concrete for the foundation. You might talk to the people who do the roofing, but you don't want them to show up yet. You want to get the foundation figured first, and then you start building the frame, and then eventually sometime you get the roofers and the painters to come in, but that's down the road. So right now we're still kind of digging the hole for the foundation, making sure the footings are there and we get the foundation in place before we move ahead. But V3 gives us the capability for neural machine translation. That's the artificial intelligence translation capability. And that's really exciting. That's really interesting stuff. We hope to be able to gain some real advantage with that. However, we're still testing it. We're still trying it out. We still have to make sure that we know how it works with the Microsoft system and test the capability of it. We see some real promise there, but we haven't tested it fully yet, so we're still working on that. We will also still maintain the old type of machine translation, which is known as statistical or phrase-based machine translation. And some of the languages, we deal with a lot of languages, 96 on a regular basis. Microsoft doesn't deal with that many languages. They don't have that kind of capability. So they gave us the ability to do custom machine translation systems. Where they don't offer neural machine translation, they allow us to do statistical machine translation. So we've been able to take the old SMT engines, move them over from V2 to V3, and we will be able to then create custom engines as well for the languages that they don't currently support. And because I know the people at Microsoft, work with them, known them for many years, I've been talking with them and trying to get them to allow us to do some additional things and getting them to accept some of the languages that we work with on a regular basis and roll that into their normal systems. So recently we've been retraining the V3 SMT engines, and we've gotten those in place. We haven't lost any capability, which is a good thing, right? Now we're in the process of training the neural machine translation systems, which is pretty interesting. If you look at the chart there on the my left, your right, over here, you can see it's kind of hard to read, but you can see that these are languages that we have been working with in the past. We have 53 languages currently that we can use with statistical machine translation. In 2014, we only had 8. 2015 and 2016, we had bumped it up to 12. We didn't do much more with it then. In 2017, we raised it up to 23 languages, and last year we got it up to 53. So we've been doubling the amount of languages that we can work with in the statistical. The problem is, though, that even though we have the capability, we haven't really been using it. Our language offices and the translators aren't using it, and there are some problems there, as you can imagine, right? So I won't go into all the details, but we have the capability. We now have that. 4 languages, Fijian, Tagalog, Tahitian, and Tongan, use machine translation for everything that they do. They get it machine translated first, and then they do post-editing on that content. And it saves a lot of time. As you can see up here, somewhere between, on average, 20 to 30% we can save cost and time if we use machine translation. It turns out that Tagalog, or Filipino that Paz works with, she's been able to do a 50% increase capability. She's that good, and that's wonderful. We're glad to have her and be able to take advantage of that capability in that way. So that's really great. We are working from the 53. We're going to try to get up to, as soon as we can, up to 96 languages that we deal with. Don't know when that'll happen exactly, but that's our goal to get there. All right, so going forward, as part of that rush to get things done with the change in the Microsoft Translator Hub, they recently informed us, after we thought we knew everything about it and what was happening, all the changes, they recently informed us that, oh, well, we forgot to tell you that you can use your SMT engines, but the ones that you ported from V2 to V3 won't actually be available for use until June 15th. And so we kind of had to take a step back and go, okay, well, at least we got them. So somewhere toward the end of Q2, the end of June, we will start rolling out training for all those SMT engines that we have. And we will then also be looking to train on the NMT systems. There's some differences in use. We'll train you how to do those. Hopefully it'll be transparent to you. You won't know the difference between SMT and NMT. You'll just be able to use it. But when you go to post-edit it, there might be some differences in what it looks like and how you'll have to work with it. So we'll get you trained on doing that. We also want to spur adoption. As you saw, we have 53 SMT engines that we can use, but very few languages actually use it on a regular basis. So we're going to be working with you and with the areas to spur the adoption of machine translation in general, whether SMT or NMT. And then we will do a phased rollout by language, probably along the lines of the worldwide plan, but depending upon use. Phased rollout of getting people trained and using machine translation. So stay tuned to that. Watch for new changes and updates on that. I'm also starting a pilot project with the missionary department on using Autonomous Raw MT for real-time communications. They have applications that they give to missionaries, and if the missionaries on their device can't quite figure out how to use it, they got a problem, they want to be able to communicate with someone to get that problem fixed. So the scenario is, let's say that you've got a missionary that doesn't speak English, but they've got to communicate with the help desk here for that application. Right now what has to happen is they send an email, either in as broken English as they could possibly get, as best English they can get, or they send it in their native language, and then someone has to go through and figure out what is meant by that message, because most of the help desk people from the missionary department don't speak every language in the world. I don't know. We need to bring them up to speed, don't we? But if we can get them to figure out what that message means, then someone can then write a response. But that response is almost always in English, and it's got to go back to the person who probably doesn't speak English. So you can see a problem there, right? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to work with Autonomous MT. As soon as that message comes in, it goes to MT, gets translated, comes through, goes to the help desk. So for example, let's say someone in Japan, a missionary in Japan doesn't speak English, writes an email that goes into the support desk. We'll get that translated from Japanese into English using MT, no humans involved. You can see the problems potentially there, right? But we're going to see how this works. And then the help desk person will be able to read that in English, be able to respond in English, and that'll immediately go back to the machine translation system, get translated back into Japanese so that the missionary who speaks Japanese will be able to read it. So we'll have people who natively speak two different languages be able to communicate in their native tongue with, we'll hope it works well. We're going to try that and see how that works. Also, Cos mentioned about support systems. Missionary department has their own support system. They use ServiceNow, which is what we're setting up as well. Within ServiceNow, you have knowledge-based articles or KB articles. We're also going to be just translating those KB articles straight through machine translation. The point with those, of course, is that the gisting, we just get the gist of what it means. They can be able to read those, get the idea, move on, and solve their problem and move on. Where articles need to be read more frequently, or there's articles that are more commonly looked at and used, once it's machine translated, then it can be taken and given to a human to clean it up, make sure it's post-edited perfectly. But the first pass will be machine translation. So we're going to try that pilot and see how that works. Over here on my left, again, you'll see this graph that I've got here. These are from March 31st to April 14th. I went and grabbed all the statistics out of our current machine translation usage that we have. Right now we have the ability to translate text. If you go to translate.ldschurch.org, you can see that and be able to use that for different languages. That's text translation. We also have the ability to do document translation, though very few people actually use it. And we have the ability, if you know, is through World Server and Trados to be able to get machine translation through that. So we have 3 avenues currently for doing machine translation. This one is the web portal, which is World Server and Trados, not the document, not the text. This is our usage from March 31st to April 14th. This is the number of characters that were translated, and these are the top 10. This is, late night TV show, top 10, right? So this is the top language that gets translated using World Server and Trados is traditional Chinese from English. Note that these are all from English, even though we have the capability to go from any language, any English to any language and any language to English. Not necessarily any language to any language, although that's another thing we want to work on. So all these are from English to some language. The top one is English to traditional Chinese, and at 500,000 characters just in that time frame, in about 3-week time frame. All the way down. So you've got, you can see, Italian is 3rd there, Spanish is 4th, Portuguese is 5th, Cebuano, Dutch, German, Filipino, which is Tagalog there. And anyway, so you get an idea. There's lots more that use it, but that's the top 10. We're going to make sure that you get a chance to pick your favorite language and get it in the top 10. All right, let's have a competition, see who gets to use it. Who's in the top 10? That'll be fun. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions. This is exciting. This is a great thing to move ahead on. We'll also be looking at other ways to use machine learning aside from machine translation. So if you've got any ideas or interest, I'm ears. I don't know that I can actually get it done for you, but I'm happy to hear what ideas you have. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Dwayne. We have a quarterly meeting with members of the 12 about machine learning, so it's important to them, so we wanted to share the efforts that we were doing. So thank you with that. So looking forward, there's 3 things that I want to talk about, but I have time to talk about 2. I just get so excited. I want to talk about so many things. So whatever we don't get over in the meeting, I'll just make you stay after. Okay, I'm glad people knew that was a joke. No, we'll just send out in an email, make sure people are aware. The goal is just to try to inform and make sure everyone is up to speed, but also that people know how to align or give feedback so that we can all make sure we're doing the right thing. So I wanted to start by reviewing the major initiatives and talk about what we've done on these. We announced these at the first of the year, and we're still working on them after a few months. We haven't changed them, so that's good, right? So we want just to show stability. So just to review, we wanted to have clear role descriptions for everybody, We need to have our production capacity for each team, increase our outsourcing capacity, and simplify our workflow. So just review quickly what we've been doing in those areas. So with our clear role descriptions, here's some of the role descriptions we've been working on most recently. So we've been rewriting these role descriptions. By the end of the year, the goal is that everybody is in a clear role description for them, and that everyone knows what their job is and what their job isn't, and that what they're accountable for and what they're going to do. So these are the roles we've been working on. And then they have to go through a process of being vetted by central HR and then get final approval. But those are where we're currently at. So making progress. So with production capacity for each team, this is a department-wide effort that has been worked on at many different levels. So this is something that's being done for every single team in the department. So I want to show the tool that's being used to help track this and how we tie in with that. The whole goal of this is that for example, right now priesthood department wants to expand the languages on Come Follow Me, and the brethren are asking, well, what impact does it have on PSD's capacity to get things done? And right now, Garen and I's answer is, we don't know, because when it's going to hit is the same time that Church History Saints Volume 2 is going to come. At the same time, there's proposals of updating Handbook 1 and 2. We don't, as a department, have clear numbers to know what our capacity is. So it makes decisions like that very difficult. So we do it based off of feels and historical, experience. That makes for frustrated clients. So what they're doing is getting clear ideas of everything that's coming down the line, which includes every single language that they plan on doing, but also a confidence level. So if there's a project like Saints Volume 2, how confident are we that they're actually going to deliver that? Or how confident is this, they're talking about doing this website update. Is that actually going to come, or are they like 60%? Because that will affect how many resources we anticipate it might encumber. So in order to do this, we have to get information from the clients. So we're doing that, and they're very supportive because they want better planning. But we also need information from our group, hence major efforts at tracking time and doing things. So an example of that would be what's been going on with the sacred materials efforts, right? So these are things that you've been doing, and this is one of the reasons why we've been doing it. All right, I'm going to step away. It's still on, okay. So an example is, standardizing the method for estimating linguist hours. If we don't have that, then we can't forecast what our capacity is, right? If we don't know how long something will take or how many hours it's going to take someone to do something. So the project managers have been applying planned hours to all the workfront projects. If we don't know how long something will take, once again, we don't know the fact that we have our linguists are at capacity, and we need to find ways of doing things differently or bringing more on. So all of that tracking, all this effort, all of the time that we're doing in Workfront and using the capacity management functions is to help us know what we can do as a team. So it's not just, well, we think we have enough to get it done, and we've been doing this for a few years, so we think we're good. Actually using the numbers, it makes the conversations a lot easier when you go in to talk about upcoming projects and needing more staff. At least it did today when they needed to go in. And we've been getting a lot more approvals for our needs because we've had numbers to help show that. And then prioritizing our projects is a capacity function because it helps us focus, making sure as we talk with clients, okay, you've asked us to do 15 things. We think we can do 10. Which ones do you want us to be working on? So these are all efforts that are helping this department-wide initiative. So things that we're working on are tied back to what Jeff Isom has asked us to do and what he's committed to the brethren. So what this ends up looking like, so this is a snapshot from the tool. I just grabbed they sent me a snapshot. Happens to be broadcast in events, but they have the tool for others. But I just wanted to explain this because I think they showed it very briefly in the all hands meeting, and then they went on and everyone was like, what was that? So I want to take a moment to say what's actually being built. So I'll put the key up here. I'm going to move over here so I can actually read it. So The green is the actual projects that are actually funded and active in Workfront, okay? So this data comes right out of Workfront. So these are projects that people are actually working on. The blue are ideas. So this was a snapshot from January. So going forward, you have two big spikes. Those are typically around general conference time. So what that is, an idea is a project in Workfront that's in the idea status. So it hasn't yet been funded, but the department says, I think I'm going to do this, and I think I'm going to do it here, and I'm this confident it's going to happen. So the big spike in September, if a lot of that's general conference, pretty confident that's going to happen, right? So we're able to look forward and go, whoa, that's a lot of work that people will be asking of us. And we're able to start having a conversation. So the confidence interval and the forecast down there, that is how much we are currently thinking what might actually happen based on historicals. There's all sorts of math that goes in there, but it's really cool. And we have a capacity guru who's helping to do all that. And then we're measuring our maximum capacity. This is in its building stage. Right now, as a department, we're committed to having this done and completed by September. So what the department's doing right now is gathering all this data, looking at things, trying to determine for the blue items, okay, if someone says they want to build a manual, how much does that actually take? How many of our resources would that be? If we're going to add a language to the temple, what kind of impact would that have? So that when one of those projects goes in, it has the right amount of capacity that's encumbered. And then what this will help us do is make some of those decisions like the one they're asking with Come Follow Me. Can you guys do this? And we can go, nope. Or we can say, yes, we can. If you bring it to us during this point, we can do it. We can have conversations with clients where, hey, we know you want to do this in third quarter, but if you can give it to us in second quarter, we can get it done. But third quarter isn't going to happen. So the future is very exciting for the ability to actually have conversations we've never been able to have in the past. And the fact that the Quorum of the 12 and First Presidency are enabling more of this by moving that approval up, half a year almost, makes things like this. So the future will be much better when it comes to project planning. So I just want to show the success and what's being done as a department. So there's a lot of effort into these colors, and they're not just fake numbers either. I can't explain them. It doesn't mean someone can't, and that they're not valuable, but it all works. So talking about outsourcing, so when it comes to numbers like that, right, at some point, we won't have the capacity in-house to do that. So that's one of the reasons we've been focusing on outsourcing. And I'll talk about that more in just a minute. But we've been getting some great progress with that. We haven't been able to actually create contracts until recently. So James and Anna worked really hard with finance and legal, and we were able to get that done. So we actually have contracts, and we have a vendor set up working with Czech, which is really great. We also have 3 large multi-language companies we're going to start doing some testing work with, meaning we're going to send some projects through there that won't be published. Right, we're just going to test them. Those projects will be running in parallel through our existing workflow. So we're going to run them through this separate workflow so we can learn all of the things that we need to learn. We don't want to put restrictions. A lot of times when we've outsourced in the past, we'll send it out. There'll be a tight deadline. We get it back. It's a disaster. We send it to the office. They have to fix it overnight. Not good. So we're going to be spending our time with things that won't be published to actually figure a lot of that stuff out and build those relationships up. So we're getting funding from Seminary Institutes is putting some funding in place, Family History, our own department. So Jeff and Rob are getting funding so we can do testing in this and not be putting pressure where we don't need to be put pressure as we're learning. And then we've been making some efforts with simplifying our workflows. So we've clarified how many workflows we actually have. I think there was like 147 documented workflows and cut that down to like 49. Getting the steps clarified. We have, technical support to help simplify things for people. And we have an approved trainer role, which job will focus just on system training, which will really help in a lot of our areas where they're so focused on just getting the work done. So I want to talk about outsourcing because I know this is I know for me, it was something over the years that took me a lot to get to the understanding where I'm at now of why we need to outsource. So I just wanted to talk about that. I had some awesome slides on the how, but I'll have to send them out. But I want to talk about the why, because I think that's more important, and that's what really has helped me recently. Because a lot of times we talk about outsourcing, and it makes it sound like we're not doing enough, we're doing things wrong, we need to change, and it really isn't that at all. I like to think of it as the fact that we have, our workflow, and if our workflow were a freeway, we are a very efficient freeway. We are getting a lot of projects done. I mean, look how many words we do a year, the amount of things that get out, and the reach that we have. We are very effective at getting things done. The challenge is more and more cars are being put onto our freeway, and we don't have any control over that. And we're being asked to, when we'll be able to fit more cars on that freeway. And unfortunately, adding lanes to the freeway isn't an option, and it's extremely costly. So we're being asked to build an off-ramp and utilize other people's lanes. And so it's really nothing to do with the fact that our workflow is bad. Our workflow is amazing. We do things that blow people's mind, like Kaz said. Coming from the industry, we do amazing things. Outsourcing is not about the fact that we aren't good, it's that there's just too much. So why is that? Well, we've been told the Lord is hastening his work. And what that looks like for us is more stuff's being requested and being done. So for a lot of years, in this division, the question's been asked, when will departments start getting the global vision that stuff needs to go in more languages? Answer, now. There are products that have only been in the I-9 languages for years that are being requested to be done in 50 languages. The standard is not to do 9 languages. The standard now is to come in and ask for 30 languages. The worldwide plan language phase change that we hoped would inspire people to do products in more languages inspired people to do products in more languages. There is more work that people want to have done than they did in the past. And then lastly is that there's just some legal issues with the way we've staffed things in the past and used people that we can't keep doing because we don't want to get sued, because that's expensive. So that's another reason why outsourcing is important. I've been thinking a lot about this, and General Conference, there were some interesting things I think shared at that. I'm going to let someone else read because I don't like my voice. But I'm going to go back further, because everyone at the front always gets picked on. So I'm going to come back here to Helaman. Could you read that for us?
Our personal responsibility is to learn what we should learn, to live as we know we should live, and to become who the Master would have us become. And our homes are the ultimate setting for learning, living, and becoming.
So Elder Bednar talked almost the entire time about more stuff being done in the home. And if we don't have content for people to do that in, then they can't study in the home. So that really hit me as to one of the whys the Quorum of the 12 is asking us to get more stuff done. So President Nelson, I think, touched on this. This is from 2 different talks. Sorry, I don't want to make it seem like it's in one, but I'll let Dave read it.
The adversary is quadrupling his efforts to disrupt testimonies and impede the work of the Lord. He is arming his minions with potent weapons to keep us from partaking of the joy and love of the Lord. Time is running out.
So I was very impressed that conference seemed like the Quorum of the 12 was telling us that it is the last days and we need to be prepared. And they're asking our department to create more and more content as they reach out to the whole world, right? This is the group that wants to help everyone come to Christ. So some examples. So Saints, Volume 1, fantastic book. It's really helped me recently understand trials and learn of things. Is in 14 languages, and 8 chapters were done in the Liahona languages. So for me, it's something that really helped me over the last month in a lot of different things, and not everyone has access to that. Elder Bednar, in his talk, his second half of his talk, he talked about temples.elias.org. And he said, a rich reservoir of resources exists in print, audio, video, and other formats to help us learn about initiatory ordinances, endowments, marriages, and other sealing ordinances. Okay? So he was telling people, study at home, This website can help save your families. So this is when I went to look for it in Finnish. That says page not found, just because that's the only other language I can read. So that was only done in 10 languages. And the way they determined that was not, do these languages need it? The way they determined it was the client assumed that no other language had the capacity to do it in time to be ready for conference. So they just assumed we couldn't do it. They didn't even ask. They just told Voni, I need it done in these languages, and she sent it out. We need to change that mindset that we have the ability to get these things done, so that when apostles talk about this stuff, every member can feel like they're a part of that. And those are the whys we need to increase the capacity beyond. It may feel like we're getting done everything we're asked to do, but we're not being asked to do everything that can be done and that is important to the brethren. And we have to change that so that it isn't assumed that we won't be able to do it, but that they're getting these things so that we can combat what's out there in the world. I know that we'll be prepared to do that. Things have been changing. Doors are always open. The Lord has a way of getting it done, and I know that we'll find a way to get everything done that they want us to do. I believe that, and I feel it, and I've seen ideas coming from you that are remarkable, and I'm grateful for that. But I share my testimony that this is the Lord's church, and we do things here that other people don't do because we're accomplishing amazing things, and He is helping us do that. And I'm grateful to be able to be working with you and see those things that you're doing, because it is remarkable, it's amazing, and it's a miracle in our day. And I say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.